We're just about a quarter from the bottom of the page. Samach. The line begins with the word shenimshach. Nimshach bechinas oatzmus. Very interesting expression here. Birur hachoshech. We discussed yesterday, as much as we discussed this kind of a elusive principle, we can never discuss it sufficiently. What is there to be mevarer in the choshech? In principle, the birur hachoshech is to bring out the cognizance. Choshech appears in the world to be a fundamental reality. As a matter of fact, the worldly logic, what is known today as the scientific logic, is all based on choshech. What occurs, that which forces its way through. So the choshech is accepted as the fundamental reality. Birur hachoshech is the revealing and the nullification of the choshech as a fundamental reality. And as a result of that, that reveals and that solicits the Iyar from Atzmus, which is the fundamental reality. Where this is the fundamental reality on the light, on the Iyar side. And this is the way, but the Zohar says the light benefits from choshech. What is the benefit? Without choshech, without birur hachoshech, it would appear that light is just a functional thing, not reality. By birur hachoshech, this is when you're revealing that no, that's not true. That light is the real fundamental reality. The world did not come. We say yesh ayin. The world did not come from nothingness. The world came from a presence that is beyond presence. Ayin is the principle yesh ayin. Ayin in this context is not nothing. It is unidentifiable, beyond identity, because this is the etzem ha'oyer. And nimshach bechinas atzmus. Try to translate the words bechinas atzmus. Bechinas atzmus means aspect of atzmus. That even though that when we bring light, there is a certain functional aspect in light, and we say light makes it possible to see objects. Bechinas atzmus means that when you are revealing the world through light, you come to realize that what you are revealing, it really is the reality itself, not a functional element. Like we're saying in in simple terms, we say, yeah, mitzvahs bring light, bring a certain order to the world. No. Mitzvahs is what the world is all about. The fundamental highest of the world is a mitzvah, not the world. So this is oyemete hachosh. Bezehu. Okay, we continue on this line. Bezehu. Thus, this explains, this points out in principle, shekol inyan ha-mitzvos, that the whole principle of mitzvos, what is the fundamental accomplishment through mitzvos, hu liyos bibchinas iskafio davke. It is that there should be the mitzvah should be performed in a manner of iskafio davke. Iskafio davke means specifically by subduing, by an inner struggle and a fight, rather than just acquiescing normally, peacefully. Because iskafio touches and reveals the truth of the mitzvahs. Iskafio means that there is an opposition. This opposition is very, very strong. It's kosher. In the world, that is the reality. And iskafio, this is in mitzvahs because through that iskafio, you reveal the true presence. Ukmaimer Azal, that as the Chazal express it, one should not say, I do not desire non-kosher food. What one should say, which means one's attitude should be, I want it. From the world perspective, I want it. But what can I do? My Father in heaven decreed upon me that I must not partake of it. The hakavona bozehu, where the intent, what is significant, what is the meaning of this statement? It is shekiyum ha-mitzvah, is that the performance of the mitzvah is yiyah bebchinas kfiyah davko. That the performance should be in a manner of kfiyah, of subjugation, davko. Davko means this is specifically intended for that. Because only in that manner of doing mitzvahs, nishlam hakavona ho'elyin, it's fulfilled the kavona elyin, or the kavona from above. Which means that mitzad the world, on the contrary, I want b'sach. On what basis do I reject it? I reject it on the basis of a completely different principle of truth. My Father in heaven commanded me. There is no worldly explanation for rejecting it. This is the oil mitahachishach. This is coming from a completely different realm. And saying, that realm, it's outside of the world, and that's the real truth. That's the reality that I'm relating to. Not the reality as it is identified in the world, but the real reality is, Obishu Bashamayim goes like. Bashamayim? That's an
how's that mitoch kosher? That's from Mishamayim.
The mitoch HaChoshech is that here I have a reality in the world. Mm-hmm. I really want this. This principle that there is Obishu Bashamayim, that goes alike, that this comes as a gzeira, not something that I can understand and I can relate to. I don't understand it. And yet, that is the reality that I relate to. Where is that kind of recognition of reality come but I don't understand it. This is from Choshech. Choshech I don't understand either. I see nothing there. It's not an identifiable presence. As I said before, in the world, Choshech, this is the primary being. This is the fundamental. When we remove everything else, it becomes Choshech. Obviously, Bashamayim Gozalai is a simple type of relationship. There's a reality of the world, and I'm completely rejecting that reality. By what? By accepting a counter reality. And what is counter reality? Not that I understand what Obisha Bashamayim is telling me. He's giving me good advice. Gozalai. Gozalai means he decreed so. Please understand what that means. Decreed so. Decreed so means that the whole basis of this decree is not that it fits into my world. I have to say completely goodbye to my world. That whole decree exists only because of my Father in heaven, not because the world substantiates it. That's why the expression is Gozar Olai. Gozar, Agzeira, means it's a statement from above, without taking the pains of explaining, without there being an explanation in the worldly context.
And this is Birur Choshech Mitocha Choshech. It sounds like the putting aside of worldly Choshech for the sake of a Gezer from Milamayla.
Right.
Yet we're calling that a Birur from within the Choshech. I heard that it's this Birur of the Choshech is that it's just put aside. Is that it?
The ability to put the Choshech aside, that is a Birur.
Okay.
Because the only way that is possible is by coming to a recognition that the Choshech is not the real truth. Even though that is exactly what it is, what appears to be from the worldly perspective.
Otherwise, you couldn't really put it aside. You didn't have that.
You can disengage. It's reality. This is what happens. You learn Chassidus, we talk about a creator, we talk about elicits, godly truth, and we always go back. So how does it work out in the world? Because the world is reality. I have to place it in context of reality. It cannot be just my imagination or my intellectual projection. When I come to the realization and I step out of this is something I spoke about yesterday, and I say, no, that this is just a worldly truth, but this is not the truth. This choshech is due to the godly creation of world, and world was created by tzimtzum. World was created by concealing the true light, the godly light. And This is what we said yesterday, or the day before, I don't remember anymore, that this is called iskafia. The real movement is where you have to, the real challenge is when you have to break away and dissociate from the reality as you know it. But this is the way, this is the reality of the world. Yes, it's reality, but that's not reality. You mean you want me to understand things completely disregarding world? How can I do that? You can do that because because the real reality is that Oyer is a source. Atzmus. What is Atzmus? Atzmus means Atzmus means where the Oyer is not an add-on, it comes in to illuminate. The motion for that is the sun, as we always speak about. Hopefully we're getting the point in the sun. The sun is called Etzem Behiri. The real phenomenon of the sun, the real effect of the sun, even though we in the world, but and without perhaps our realizing that the effect of the sun is a light coming from the reality of light itself.
When we were saying yesterday about this, what you just referred to, didn't we say that when you in this vulnerable moment when you rip yourself away from what you were able to identify with, you do it on the basis of what's called essentially choshech as well, meaning you go in. I don't know, I don't remember words exactly. We were using other examples as well, but
So what is your question?
My question is that when you say the Ovisha B'Shamayim Gozer or Birura Choshech, you redefining Choshech not by making it oil, but you're saying that, meaning you going in.
No, you're redefining reality.
Right, you're redefining reality, but not because you're able to relate to it at all. It's not oil for you. Meaning whatever you're saying, oil Shabashamayim gozer like it's a reality. It's a reality for me, but I don't understand what it is. It's just real. It's a choshech.
Wait a second. That itself, that reality is not dependent on my understanding, is a complete leap out of the world.
Right, exactly. But in relation to me, it's choshech. I thought that's what redefines the worldly choshech. Worldly choshech, you said, it's by default reality. That's what you followed.
No. Choshech is only if you are dependent on world. But if I have Ovisha B'Shamayim, then I don't have choshech to begin with. I turn to him and say, what am I supposed to do? And he is omnipresent. Choshech is only if I'm, like the Rambam says, I'm groping in the dark. Why am I groping in the dark? Because I'm trying to figure out from the world what is right and what is wrong. But if there's Ovisha B'Shamayim, then I'm not in the Choshech in the first place.
But in terms of it being unidentifiable for me, like we were saying,
unidentifiable only when you consider truth, your reality, that which you can grasp in the world. But you come to realize, no, that's not the truth. That's not your truth.
like when we say like we go from madrega to madrega, right? We go from one step to another, and that ability to take the step, or being that we have to shed all those things that we were able to associate with, based on what?
The primary, the primary dissociation is not all the things. The things are engulfing us, but the primary association is the essence, what these things are built upon.
Which I can't get it, and I still go for it.
Because I recognize that the truth is elsewhere. Goes on a line. The truth comes not from my identical world, identifiable world. The truth comes from what Hashem gives me. That is, you transferring your reality from dark into light. Okay. Okay. This is what he says. Okay, I just want to repeat the last words with that. Bazeh davka nishlam hakavona ho'elyena. For those who are sensitive to digduk, probably are irked by nishlam hakavona, nishlamo hakavona ho'elyena. This is where the kavona ho'elyena is fulfilled. Why? Why davka bikfir? Because the kavana ho'elyena is that is the diro betachtoin. Diro betachtoinim means that not you fit into tachtoinim, you make sense in tachtoinim how this is the right thing. Like we always say, do not steal. It makes sense in tachtoinim and you shouldn't steal. But this is not what the Asas Adibas are talking about. Adibas are saying, do not steal because because you have godly presence. This is a completely different orientation, and this is what Kavanah Ho'elyena is nishlema, because Kavanah Ho'elyena is here dira b'tachtim. Dira means, as we said, the etzem itself should be there, not its reasoning, not its oil, not its goodness and kindness, but its reality, its presence.
Right, Paltiel, this all is a hemshech of Hein Kodim Lulav. It's all part of that, right? It's not
Right, Choshech and Iyar is part of Hein Kodim Lulav. Alav Kodim Lulav. Ve'al Kein Yesh Mailo B'mitzvoth lo yisaseh al mitzvot aseh. And this is where they come to understand that there is a Milo. There is a super quality, relative speaking. Mitzvos lo yisaseh over mitzvos aseh. Mipnei, because sheyi ken hakfiyah hu b'leitzas. Because the main challenge that ultimately results in kfiyah, in subjugation, and forcing the issue is by mitzvos lo yisaseh. When you have to really fight yourself. The mitzvos aseh, because in the positive mitzvahs, yesh gam ken kfiyah protis. There is kfiyah protis. There is individual kfiyah as pertain to that particular mitzvah. The whole mitzvah, in every mitzvah, k'mei, tefillin, as for example, in tefillin, the kfiyah is l'shabed halev hameach, to subjugate halev hameach, the heart and the moach, to subjugate the heart and the brain to avodas Hashem. The talis, and then there's the talis kabbalah say malchus shamayim, the recognizing that there is malchus shamayim and you are accepting the yoke of malchus shamayim. Commercial kosher b'sefer shalbein, as is explained in Tanya, briefly. V'chein hu b'chol mitzvah protis. Commercial kosher b'makimach. That is also true, and it can be identified in every individual mitzvah. So therefore, there is an element of kfiyah. However, he cannot kfiyah he b'lei sasa. The principle, the main aspect of kfiyah is in b'lei sasa. And we'll discuss it briefly. Ve'alidei zeh, and thereby, davko, only through the kfiyah of mitzvah b'lei sasa, shenimshach madrega goveho yoser, is drawn a higher madrega. As we discussed yesterday, the Shabbat HaMeach v'Halev HaMeach is an effort, a shibud, pertaining to a certain type of activity. An identifiable type of activity. Essentially, as we say, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. In Shabbat Halev HaMeach, even though it's shibud, but I'm identifying lev and meach. There's an element of seichel in this, and I'm Shabbat Halev HaMeach. Kabbalah say Machu Shemayim. There is. I identify with the melech, and I'm Mekabel. Mitzvah lo yisaseh is a completely different thing. Mitzvah lo yisaseh, I'm not seeking to identify with anything specific. I don't even know what I'm identifying with. There it is a complete negation of my personal involvement. That's mitzvah lo yisaseh. It's not, don't do this or that. There is not a particular identification what I'm avoiding. I'm avoiding that which I was told to avoid. Period. Because there is no sense in any of these avoidance. Don't put on shatnez. Don't eat kilayim. Or even simpler mitzvahs. As we said before, I'm looking at this meat, it's very good meat. Why shouldn't I? Or chazir turns out our stomach. But a chicken that was shechted not appropriately, it's the same chicken. Exactly the same chicken. Compare them, look at them, smell them. And this is nevela. Rahman al to even partake of that, and this is a kosher chicken. So mitzvah shlosha said that is directly touching to the principle of existence. Yes and no. There is not a specificity to it. You can make as much sense about nevela as you can make about shar chazir. I don't know what chazir about. The goyim, by them, this is the what do you call it? The delicacy. I would be jealous of it, but you meet up, about the tshuva, people who are first coming from the dark, and they express what their biggest challenges are. And I've had someone say, cheeseburger. You don't even know what that means.
There's certain things like Isser Chametz and things like that which you do sort of learn at the Siddur. So
Does the comments make sense?
we have explanations.
What?
I say we have explanations about Gaiva and things like that that we have.
You eat matzah a week, then you say, I had enough. Give me a piece of chametz. And this is why mitzvot leisa say is mamshich magvei madrega veho yoser, a higher madrega. And as we said, high madrega is no, so to speak, higher and higher. There's no end to high madrega. What is the principle of a high madrega? The principle of high madrega is not greater oil; it's more of the essence. More of the essence means its presence, its reality, is due to the fact that the essence made that command, that made that desire, this request, rather than how it fits in my intellect, in my world, in my life. Ultimately, this leads, I'm said, to the Geula Shlema, where the entire Metzias of the world consists in the fact that the Rebbe is saying, let there be a world. And I accept it because the Rebbe right now is saying, let there be a world. This is what the world, this is why it's there, this is what its reality means. This Madrega Ve'yeseh. Okay, and this we will start the mitzvah tomorrow. Have a great day.
You too. Don't forget, remember the Gemara shiur tonight.